Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric and Chad here with Iraq Veteran 8888, and we've got a pretty interesting departure from the normal video you probably expect to see from us. We do a lot of the top 5 guns videos, which are extremely popular. We've been doing those for quite a long time, and a lot of you guys love them, and we're going to do plenty more of them, don't worry. But we thought that with all the new gun owners that are out there now, we would do a top 10 reasons to be a gun owner, because I think a lot of people might have friends in their various circles and everything that they might be on the fence about being a gun owner. Maybe they're not sure why they need to bother owning a firearm, or maybe some people just don't understand. So what this video is meant to be is one of those videos that you can drop in somebody's email box and send it to them as kind of a subtle hint, like, hey, check this video out, give it a minute, hear these guys out, see what they have to say about firearms ownership. And maybe somebody who's on the fence about being a gun owner might go, wow, you know what, I never really considered that. Maybe I will go buy a hunting rifle or whatever. So we've already done videos previously on different categories that guns fall into. That's what the 5 gun series is about. We originally started that series. We're the original people that did that concept, and the reason we started that concept was to show people firearms that would fall into a certain specific reasoning or certain category. Okay, that's not really what this video is about. We're just going to talk about, I've got a little cheat sheet here, so bear with me. We're going to talk about reasons somebody would want to be a gun owner, and then we're going to kind of elaborate on those things. And we always have a wild card. So number 1 reason, and these are not in any kind of specific order. I just kind of brainstormed these out. So they're not in order of importance, but they're all equally important.
They certainly are.
All right, so what's number 1, Chad?
Well, it is your right and duty to own firearms. So
I think that's pretty cut and dry.
We live in a society where, we have certain amendments that are guaranteed to us, certain rights that are pretty much inalienable, and the Second Amendment is one of those inalienable rights, the rights to bear arms. And that doesn't just mean go out and kill Bambi, okay, to put it in your freezer. That means to defend yourself, your family, your community, even your country against enemies foreign and domestic. Defending your state or your country against a tyrannical government who is overreaching.
Sure.
Things like that. But a lot of people don't realize that, the true meaning of the Second Amendment. There's always been debate about it and whatnot, and we got a lot of FUDs out there who think that, oh, well, we don't need any of these old tactical guns, these black rifles and all this kind of stuff, all these assault weapons. All we need is just hunting rifles and shotguns, sporting guns.
They're missing the point.
They're missing the point completely.
They are missing the point.
I mean, the Second Amendment is all guns, encompasses all guns, not just sporting firearms. I mean,
right.
There's sporting purpose, sure, okay, but then there's firearms that are meant for other things as well. So
I think that there's definitely something to be had from that. I mean, I can't tell you how many people that are in the FUD category. In case you guys don't know, a FUD is somebody who supports only what they feel is a hunting rifle or something. Like they only support a sporting purpose firearm, like an over and under shotgun or a bolt action rifle. Like they don't think that, modern firearms like an AR or MP5 or like I have here are useful. So really, that's scary. Because on one end, yeah, they can consider themselves pro-gun for some reason, but can they? I mean, somebody that's a FUD is not necessarily pro-gun.
To me, if you can't support all firearms ownership, then you can't support any of it.
Right. It's all or nothing.
And the thing is that these people, they also say, okay, well, I don't mind if you ban this type of firearm, but see, the thing is, you get one little foot in, and then they're going to take everything. You give them an inch, they're going to take a mile.
That's true. So in light of that, all right, so it's your right and duty to own firearms. That's a pretty dang good reason right in itself. Even if I don't read anything else off this list, you should understand we're going to go to number 2. All right, and this is what, brave men and women have died to protect your right to bear arms. Guys, think about all the men and women that have died and fought for our country to protect your right to be a firearms owner, to protect your rights of free speech. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with a lot of the reasons that we've fought wars in recent years and everything like that. But think about Grandpappy that died in World War II or somebody like that. I mean, those people, they all deserve respect. But also, I mean, they all fought for what they believed was defending our rights in one way or the other.
Back in World War II, I mean, Germany was a power that was trying to, basically, they were trying to overthrow the entire world. Yep. And we had the Allied powers, the Axis powers. I mean, it was truly a world war.
But I thought that was important to throw in there. I know that one speaks for itself, guys. I don't have to get on too many, tangents there. But I have a lot of respect for my police and military guys and all you people out there that are veterans. I respect all of you because it takes a lot to bear that
responsibility.
that responsibility. Exactly. So that's a good reason right there. All right. So number 3, we're getting on to a little bit more tangible reasons. Of course, those reasons are very important, but let's see. Okay, so firearms provide a means to hunt for food.
Okay.
All right, so...
Well, all right, starting out, we hunted food with rocks and sticks and spears and such as that, and then as technology increased, we started getting into firearms, black powder arms, such as that. I mean, you had the bow and arrow and such before that, all kinds of different implements.
Yep.
But then once black powder was developed, that started the firearms revolution, and it provided a means to hunt game at longer ranges, or put them down more effectively, such
more
as
humanely.
that. Oh, more humanely as well. But a firearm provides a family who was maybe living, say, back in the early days of the country here, a means to go out and hunt for food that they needed to survive.
When the Second Amendment was originally conceived, and really when the Constitution, our founding fathers originally were over here, and when that all was originally conceived, being on the frontier was a normal way of life.
It was.
And, you didn't have a Walmart around every corner. You didn't have a hospital, close to you. Mm-hmm. If you were lucky, you could get looked at by somebody probably within the week. Mm-hmm. But you had to rely on yourself and those in your household to hunt for food, to go fishing, catch fish, to make sure you have clean water to drink, make sure you can stay warm in the winter. All of these things, these self-sufficiencies that we take for granted, were all afforded to us early on because of firearms. Do you not think that if we didn't come over here armed and able to defend ourselves originally, that the natives wouldn't have just, strung us up from every single tree if we couldn't defend ourselves? So, the whole hunting for food thing, I can understand the FUDs of the group going, oh, well, I only hunt. That's okay. If all you do is hunt, and if someone comes in your front door, you're not going to shoot them, that's on you, okay? If you're getting robbed or someone's trying to rape your wife or kill your family, if you're going to be that tied to your political views that, oh, well, I don't believe in black rifles, I guarantee you'll grab that over and under and put a slug in it and shoot somebody who's trying to hurt you.
When you think about like hunting in the traditional sense, I mean, today, obviously, you don't need to hunt, to survive. You just go down to the store and you buy all your groceries or whatnot, but some people still enjoy hunting as a means of basically, nostalgic purposes, or tying themselves to the past, or just keeping with traditional values and whatnot. Or, you might like filling your freezer up with deer. That way you don't have to worry about getting processed meat and such, because it's all natural. Everything
we eat a lot of deer meat for that reason.
Yeah.
I eat a lot of venison.
But anyways, people like to uphold those traditional values.
Oh yeah, and it's also a great way to, we're going to get to this later, but it's also a great way to bond with our youth. Mm-hmm. It's a great way to get young people outside, away from the dang Xbox, and get them outside doing fun stuff and enjoying firearms.
Something I just thought of, but what's crazy is some of these young kids nowadays, they don't realize where the chicken in the package comes from, or the beef in the package comes from. They don't have any idea that that chicken tender that they bought at Shane's Rib Shack or whatever came from a real chicken, a real live chicken from a chicken farm, and the entire process.
Well, it ain't live anymore, but yeah.
But I'm just saying, it's crazy. I've literally heard kids that don't know where their food comes from. I just go to the store and get it. No, not quite.
So I think that's a very important reason to be a gun owner. Let's just say if the crap hits the fan, something bad goes on, you've got a way, if we have to revert back to a very simple way of life. Let's say that there's no phones, there's no internet, the power's out, there's no refrigeration. You've got to know how to make fire, how to get clean water, how to dress out a rabbit or a squirrel or a deer and eat it and consume it.
Store it.
All of those things are very important, and that's an important reason to be a gun owner. Maybe not quite as pertinent in today's society, but it is important for our heritage as American citizens. So let's see, we've got, all right, firearms provide protection from enemies, foreign and domestic. So Chad mentioned that earlier in the video, but gosh, people, protection. That's an extremely important reason to be a gun owner, is to be able to defend yourself.
Well, not only at home, okay, like say you've got a handgun by the bedside or whatever, okay, you keep this for home defense, all right? You throw a flashlight on that thing and you got yourself a viable home defense method if there's a bump in the night.
Sure.
Okay, well, if you're out and about, then you use your concealed carry piece. All right, this is a little Glock 43 that I carry all the time for the most part, but you have a means to defend yourself while you're out and about, and if you're with your family or friends or whatnot, you have a way to defend yourself and them or other people in your community if somebody is being an idiot. But then you have life and liberty guns. You know, these rifles right here, this is kind of the defend yourself, your community, your country, your state, whatever.
That's to protect your castle.
This is to protect your castle, or, you know, if the crap really hits the fan hard, you know, this kind of rifle is the type you can go to war with. I mean, this is what you can bet your life on, is a black rifle.
The thing is, too, and what I look at with defense, there's a lot of people that I run into on a regular basis in my travels that say, well, I want to be a gun owner, but I don't want to hurt anybody. Well, look, nobody wants to hurt anybody. Okay, I don't want to hurt anybody, but if someone forces you into that corner and that flight or fight reflex comes into play, you have to do what you have to do to survive as a person. And believe me, the people that come in the night are going to have guns, and they're going to have lots of them, and they're going to be black, and they're going to shoot fast. And the bottom line is, you know, if something like that happens, if some guy who's an unsavory person comes and tries to take you in the night, which is probably very unlikely, but it's good to know that you can stand toe-to-toe with the people that would do you harm with the equal technology they have. I am a big proponent for us having the same firepower as the military. Now, granted, we don't need to be running around with law rockets or artillery pieces. Actually, I'd like to have artillery piece.
I'd love to have a few hand grenades laying around.
But the thing is, you know, in terms of small arms technology, there's no reason why this MP5 can't be full auto. It's not. It's semi-auto, but it does have a short barrel, a suppressor. And guys, I've got $400 in tax stamps tied up in this dang gun just to have it in this configuration. And it's not even select fire. It's semi-auto. It's got the short barrel, the K configuration. This is a Zenith Z5P. And we've got a Griffin, which suppressors? That's the Revolution.
That's my Revolution 45.
Yep. So something like that, I mean, and that's got a T2 on it, great little optic. That's great for personal defense. So that's a pretty dang good reason right there.
Remember, you and Barry did a video forever ago about kind of like the shooter's mindset, or like self-defense mindset. You know, if you buy a gun with the the premise of defending yourself or your home or whatnot, but you can't get around harming somebody. I mean, if someone's trying to do you harm, then you have to be in the mindset to do what you have to do.
Yes.
I mean, it's either, you know, two guys breaking your house or whatever, and your wife and 3 kids are there, and there's no telling what they want to do. They come armed to the teeth or whatever.
You don't give them that opportunity.
You know, I mean, you have to get yourself in the mindset that if that situation ever arose, that you would be able to do something about it.
That's part of being a head of household, is defending your castle. I mean, that's just the bottom line, guys. All right, now Chad actually already inadvertently hit on this, but I'm going to go ahead and go anyway. Owning firearms such as handguns allow you to carry a firearm on your person every day. That's important. Barry and I, back in the day, we did a video called Consistent Carry, and one of the things that we talked about in that video, you might look it up, are that carry the same way all the time and carry. Carry in any way you can that will make you carry every day. And I think that everyday carry is a big part of that particular bullet point here, being a gun owner. It's okay to have a nice vault full of, you know, fancy Pedersoli black powder rifles and a bunch of random, I don't know, what, Remington over and I don't know, whatever the FUDs buy, all the fancy over and unders and fancy bolt actions,
old H&H double barrels,
old H&H double barrels and German drillings. All those guns are great. Don't get me wrong, they're awesome. But if that guy don't own a handgun and doesn't carry in public, and then let's say something happens, well, what good is it being a gun owner if you don't carry a gun on you? You know, now we're going to talk about some of the cruxes of that, some of the things that the responsibilities. Now, just like there's pros, there's also relative cons. Now, I'd like to think that there's less cons to the pros, but in light of that, carrying a gun on your person every day entails a certain amount of responsibility that you have to be capable of. I mean, you've got to know when to shoot, when not to shoot. You've got to know when it's an appropriate situation to draw a gun or not draw a gun. You got to know places you carry, you can carry and can't carry. All of these certain things are part of the responsibility of being a gun owner, is abiding by the rules and laws that are set forward. Now, rules, laws, all these things, laws are set up for a reason. It's because probably some dummy did something dumb and they go, well, we got to make a law to prevent this from happening again. So usually laws are set out and put out to the lowest common denominator of society. The lowest common denominator of society is what determines something that becomes a law, because they have to protect you from yourself.
It's almost like those erroneous safety warnings on everything. I mean, you see safety warnings and all kinds of stuff. Like, who would do that, Will? Somebody probably did.
Somebody did, exactly. So that's something to think about.
Well, you mentioned like knowing the laws and whatnot around as far as carry goes. You know, there are people out there like U.S. Law Shield that will basically defend you in the case of like a self-defense scenario. I mean, if you have to draw your gun on somebody and someone's threatening your life and you shoot them, or even if you brandish your firearm, you know, some places you can be arrested for brandishing your firearm. I mean, if you defend yourself in your home, there's a lot of times if the assailant survives, you could be sued. And you could be criminally liable for the damages that they ensued. You know,
I would strongly recommend anyone who carries a gun on a regular basis to look at U.S. Law Shield, because I'm a member, Chad's a member, my whole family are members, and they're a great bunch of people. And I've actually had to use their services before. We're not going to get off on that right now, because we want to kind of keep this rolling. I try not to make these videos terribly long, but of course we always end up.
We always say that.
That's okay. All right. So number 6. Firearms represent a considerable investment that will only increase in value. So guys, firearms are valuable. Okay, they cost a lot of money when you buy them. Sometimes you get a good deal, but for the most part, a firearm that you pay X amount of dollars for now, in theory, as long as you didn't get upside down in it when you bought it, will stay that much or increase as time goes on.
Now, I mean, modern guns, not so much. I mean, a lot of people like nowadays, they'll buy, say you buy a new handgun, all right, well, you're not happy with it, all right, a month later, so you sell it, but nobody's going to pay full price for a used gun, so you're going to sell it for a reduced price. So that person's going to get a good deal on it, and then if they wanted to resell it, then they can maybe recoup a little bit of their investment if they got in it for a good price.
Correct.
Or, you know, like somebody's hurting for money and you buy a gun, but you know, investment grade firearms or collectible firearms and whatnot, I mean, think about like the price on SKSs back in the 80s. I mean, you can get SKSs for $39, $49.
Yeah.
You know, even back in the 90s, they were $60, $70.
Right.
Now they're $400.
Right.
So they're only ever going to increase in value, especially as everything is bought up on the market, and then these type of firearms get increasingly more rare.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, here's a good example. I've got a Snyder Enfield here.
Oh yeah.
It's a Portuguese contract cavalry carbine. And this particular gun, they only made 1,200 of. So they're not making them anymore, and they're not going to make them ever again. I mean, that's it. The amount of these guns is finite. There's only so many of them on planet Earth, and I've got one of them.
Yep.
You know, in theory, you know, 1,199 other people have this gun on planet Earth, and that's it.
Like you picked that up in Vegas, and I bought an old Remington autoloading rifle, like a pre-Model 8 that was in really nice shape. And you know, those type of firearms, they're classic. You know, they hold a certain appeal, and over time, I'm not planning on selling it, so over time, that firearm will theoretically increase in value.
Yep.
I mean,
so guns are a good investment. I think that's one of the, and guns are an investment.
Oh yeah.
See, there's a difference. Okay.
Well,
if I buy a gun with the intentions of reselling it for a profit or something like that down the road, like say I'm buying it as an investment, that's one thing. Like if I speculated on the price of this gun and I thought, well, a year from now I might flip it and double my money. Well, that's one thing. But firearms are an investment in general. So let's say I go and I buy a Glock 17 or Glock 19 or M&P or whatever, and I pay full price for it. I have now invested in my life. If I'm carrying a gun on my person every day and I paid full price for the gun, at that point, it doesn't matter what I paid for the gun, because the only good gun is the one that's on your person when you need it. So at that point, it doesn't matter what the gun's worth. You've got a gun. You are armed. You can defend yourself. And that's the whole premise of this bullet point.
I mean, what kind of a price could you put on that, you know?
Exactly. All right, so that was number 6. Number 7, let's see. Firearms represent an excellent trading item, even if the items being traded for aren't firearms.
Yeah, I mean, firearms do provide a good means of bartering, you know?
I'll tell you what, I can't tell you how many cool things that I have traded into using a gun for trading value. Sometimes, if I'm out and about, and let's say that for whatever, this is certainly not the case, but let's say this Enfield right here, this Snyder. Say that I bought 2 of them, and one of them was maybe a little bit nicer condition, and the other one was a little bit rougher. maybe the rougher one I could keep as trading stock. If the prices on the guns were very fair and comparable, you could buy both guns and keep one for trading stock.
Certainly could.
That's typically what I do.
I bought a bunch of milsurps from one particular individual, and you know, I bought kind of his seconds, his shooters, and he's kept his nicer guns in his collection. And that's the whole idea. You know, you buy one to shoot for a while, and then you find one that's a little bit better shape. You know, like an old you know, number 4 Mark II Enfield or something like that. You buy a nicer one with matching bayonet, matching scabbard or something, and then you sell the other one and you keep the nice one.
All right, so that can also be a means to upgrade you as you go, or it can also be a means, more specifically in the context of this particular bullet point, to trade for things that aren't guns. If a guy's got a cool guitar for sale, or he's got an awesome amplifier, a motorcycle, I mean, a lot of times, you know, if you're watching this video and you have done this before, guys love guns. I love guns, and I'm very tempted to trade some and to lose on a trade if I'm trading something that's not a gun for something that is a gun. I know that sounds crazy, but people attach a certain value to guns which can't be matched by any other commodity.
Well, think about this too, like in a crap hits the fan situation. I mean, if you've got a ton of different guns, say you've got a rack of 20 ARs laying around that you've just kind of built up over the years or whatever, you bought receivers and you built them out just to have a bunch of, you know, stock if you're like a prepper. All right, well, you can trade those firearms for medical supplies, food, ammunition, or whatever. I mean, they could be a very good bartering
it could be.
Coin in that
You would
sort of
certainly
situation.
have to be careful there, though. I mean, in that situation, you don't want to, if somebody's coming to you in a situation of weakness, you may not want to consider like arming them, you know. But you I know what you're saying.
I mean, people think about that kind of stuff. So,
but yeah, I mean, that's certainly, you know, an excellent observation. So we're going to move along here. Number 8, owning historically significant firearms honors military heritage not only for the U.S. but for all military personnel abroad. I have to say that's probably one of the most intriguing things about gun ownership to me is I love owning historical firearms. And I try to not look at the conflict they were involved in. I try not to look at any other factor other than I like the technology that the firearm employs. And it's also a way to put yourself in the shoes of the people that use that firearm before you. I mean, think about it. I've got a Swedish Mauser right over there. Upstairs in my bedroom, I've got a photo of Swedish stock makers outside of their little shack in Sweden. And they're all got, you know, various projects in their hands that they're working on. The men that made those stocks are gone. They're all gone. They're all dead. They've all passed, okay? But think, those men that made that stock are gone. So that's it. There's only so many Swedish Mausers that will ever exist. And it's a way to kind of, you know, make their work more apparent and make it more well known. I mean, that's why we do videos on military surplus rifles like we do. Like some guy will go, well, Eric, why are you wearing British camo? Why are you wearing Czech camo? Why are you wearing German camo? Are you some kind of Nazi or something? Well, no. The thing is, if I'm shooting a German rifle, I'm going to wear a German field coat because that's just one more way I can kind of give a shout out to our German viewers. I mean, we have viewers all over the world. Do you think I'm going to be some white trash hillbilly just wearing regular like army field jacket all the time that I got like from a U.S. surplus store? No, I like wearing everybody's stuff because it's paying things forward. It's honoring the heritage of not only our troops and everything we do, but honoring the struggles that troops have to go through all across the world.
And paying homage,
you know, that's a big part of it for me. That's why I own so many military rifles, because you can kind of put yourself in some small shape or form into the shoes of an infantry guy who might have had to use that gun. I mean, a lot of these firearms have been used before.
Oh, God,
and, you know, I'm a former infantry guy, so for me, you know, I like the idea of knowing that some of these guns might have slung some lead at a bad guy, and that guy might have saved himself.
Think about the Gehinder that we've been loading for the past few days. I mean, you know, we were looking at that bayonet, and it's like, man, those could be blood stains on there. I mean, there's a good chance that this rifle could have been used in battle and killed several people. I mean, you just don't know. I mean, we can only speculate, but I mean, you know, we'd like to think that most of the guns that we own have some sort of military significance.
There's a mystique about it too. I think you know, owning collectible firearms, there's definitely mystique associated with that, and that to me is why I felt that was a very important reason to be a gun owner. Let's say you're not into hunting, you don't like killing Bambi. Okay, well, you may not be concerned about self-defense. Okay, fine. Buy an old muzzle loader or front stuffer, or buy buy a cool old cap and ball revolver or a old milsurp and just go have fun at the range.
It doesn't have to just be military rifles. Some people just love like old cowboy guns. You know, some people are just very ardent collectors of cowboy action style guns and whatnot. But you know, we're just big military guys.
Me too. All right, so number 9. Firearms provide a way for families to bond with their children and teach important responsibilities to the up-and-coming generations.
No doubt.
That's probably one of the most important bullet points on this list.
Yep.
If we don't continuously practice what we preach, and preach to our kids about, the importance of firearms ownership, you definitely don't want the mainstream media or the liberal schools to tell them what firearms ownership is about. Because if you trust them to do it, they're going to turn them into a bunch of millennials. These new generations, I'm telling you, they got some really weird views.
They certainly do, but I mean, starting off your kids. I mean, I've got a 5-year-old, and I actually just took him out shooting for the very first time, and I decided to start him shooting on a little handgun. So he got to shoot my M&P 22 compact suppressed for his first firearm, like
in my yard,
in Eric's yard. I'm like, God, I started shooting a pellet gun at 10 cans, and here we go. I mean, my son's shooting a 22 compact.
I think that says a lot. That definitely says a lot. I mean, think about when we were coming up. Think about the first gun that your dad took you out to shoot.
Oh God, yeah.
And
I bugged my dad all the time to go out and shoot like Model 66, 357. Okay, I shot that a lot. I mean, the Browning, I get a little Browning lever rifle, a little 22.
Yeah.
I begged him to let me shoot his 12 gauge. And like, okay, just point it up in the air. Well, it put me on my ass.
Yep.
I mean, when I was like 9 years old.
Yep.
But I mean, stuff like this, like guns with suppressors. A lot of people just have this innate fear of suppressors because, Hollywood and all this mess, they used in clandestine operations, all this. No. This made it so easy to teach my son how to shoot this firearm because we didn't have to wear hearing protection. It's nice and quiet. It reduces recoil. It balances the gun out real well. And he enjoyed this so much it's not even funny. And two, hearing protection a lot won't even fit over a small head, a young person's head. So it's not going to provide that level of protection anyways.
Yep.
So I will continue to use this, to teach my children how to shoot. And my daughter is coming up too, and she's going to be a little terror on the range.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. But that's an excellent reason. I mean, things like that are a perfect example of how people can bond with their families through firearms ownership. And there's no thing that is going to be a detriment to you being a gun owner if you're brought up shooting guns from a young age and then one day you become a gun owner. Even if all you do is own like a couple of handguns, a shotgun, maybe a few hunting rifles, you still have one leg up over someone who's going to try to kill you or do something bad against you.
You do.
And it's a no-brainer.
And taking your kids out to the range and whatnot, or taking them out to shoot, gets them outside of the house, and like Eric mentioned earlier, gets them off of the Xbox and out from in front of the TV and whatnot, and teaching them some good, solid values. I mean, what are they going to learn from the television? I mean, come on, give me a break.
Don't get me wrong now, I love some video games, but that's a few and far between compared to the time I spend outside.
Oh, God, yeah.
All right, so number 9. Wait a minute.
Number 10.
Number 10.
Yep, number 10.
All right, being a firearms owner makes you a harder target for theft, murder, and rape. It also gives you the tools necessary to protect those around you.
Yep.
We already kind of like bounced around on that a little bit, but we'll elaborate a little bit more.
Well, there is no doubt, and you can look up the statistics, you can read about all the facts that are out there on it. States with better numbers of firearms owners and whatnot have statistically less crime, and especially in the inner cities, municipalities and such, where there is a higher percentage of gun owners. Criminals don't want to take that risk that they're going to get killed trying to go in and rob somebody in broad daylight or in the middle of the night or something like that, knowing that they might have a gun. It is a definite fact.
Criminals live on borrowed time, and they know it.
Oh, yeah.
Someone who's a thief, I've been a victim of thievery before. It is a horrible feeling. However,
same here. I mean,
the thing is, thieves are living on borrowed time, and they know it. They know that if you own a gun, and they have a reason to think you own a gun, that if they kick in your door, you're going to hit them with number 4 buckshot, center mass, and go back to bed. Maybe not quite that starkly, but they know that their days are numbered. And that's why they concentrate on these areas with strict gun laws, because they know that the statistical probability of someone being a gun owner that they kick that door in on is less than if they come to a place.
Perfect example. I mean, think about the gun ownership rate in a place like Chicago. All right, all the gang activity, all the crime, the murder rates. I mean, Chicago has got it bad, but they have some
They
of the
put
most.
themselves in that.
They have some of the most fervent anti-gun policies in the entire country.
Yep.
You
No
know,
one wants to live there except the criminals.
I mean, it's a criminal paradise. It really is, because you think, oh, well, I'm just going to go down this line of apartments here because I know none of these people are armed because this apartment has a policy, a no guns policy.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, think about the no gun or gun-free zones and such. How all the all these mass shootings stuff happen in gun-free zones, schools, such as that. I mean, come on.
I think that you'll find that with the mindset of being someone who carries a gun every day, the other crux of number 10 is that, okay, well, it also gives you the tools necessary to protect those around you. Well, you may not necessarily think, oh, well, if someone were in trouble, I'm going to risk my life to help a perfect stranger. But I think that you would generally find that most gun owners, if they have a way that they can help and they know they can help without getting in the way, they're going to. That's just the bottom line. The media would have a lot of you folks believe that gun owners are a bunch of crazies, uber-Christian, conservative, Bible Belt, right-wing extremists, terrorists. That's just not the case. The majority of people that own firearms in the United States are very, very level-headed. They just want to, further their society they live in. They want to be responsible, contributing members of the society that they're in. They want to protect the people around them. And I honestly think that most people that carry a gun have that mindset. They're not just gonna lay down and die. They're gonna help the people around them in any way they can. And I think that speaks highly of the modern gun owner in the U.S. because there is a very big resurgence of everyday carry. This whole concealed carry movement, even open carry. I'm not a big open carry advocate. However, it does have its place in certain instances. But people carrying on a regular basis, I believe, is definitely becoming more and more of the norm than what it used to be.
I mean, carry permits have gone up exponentially in the past few years. I mean, firearms ownership has as well.
Yep.
And
that's the reason we're making this video.
Yeah, not only firearms ownership, but also NFA items as well. I mean, we've seen a record surge in the amount of like suppressors, or short barrel shotguns, short barrel rifles that people have been filing for and whatnot. And see, people don't realize it, but you have to go through a very, very detailed process to obtain those firearms. I mean, if you don't dot all your I's, cross all your T's, I mean...
Yeah, and there is no gun show loophole. I don't want to get on that, but
no, that's another topic for another day.
The reason that we're laying these things out in the terms that we are is because we're trying to keep it very elementary and very simple for someone who may not be a gun person. That's why we're making this video. Some of you guys are like, well, duh, each time we say something. But the thing is, this isn't for the person who is a big-time, full gun owner like we are that's very well-versed. This is for someone who is confused. Maybe they're a little bit afraid about buying a gun. Maybe they don't understand the things that go along with it. So we felt this video would be important to kind of put some of those things out there for people that just may not know. I mean, it's kind of, I guess, dare I say, a public service announcement. But
well, it kind of is. I mean, people who are looking to get into firearms, they're going to go out there and they're going to look for information on, in books, magazines, online, and YouTube is a big place to find information. I mean, albeit good and bad information, but
I'd like to think somewhat good.
We try to put this stuff out there for the folks who are just looking around, and they say, oh man, well, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Let me listen to this. And
all right, so number 11, wild card.
Wild card.
We have a wild card in every top 5 or top 10. Shooting guns is fun and great stress relief.
Oh, good God.
So, I chose that as number 11 because I wanted to touch on the reasons that I felt were more serious first that really, really drove the point home. But guys, at the end of the day, firearms are just plain fun to shoot.
Yep.
Even if you just take a 22 and go out in the yard, have a little fun, shoot some tin cans or whatever, they're just awesome fun and it's great stress relief. If you've had a long day and it's been a hard day at the office and things just don't seem like they're going right that day, go grab your shotgun, go out to the skeet range, shoot skeet. Or go shoot some tin cans with your 22.
Yeah, or stop after work by the indoor range. You got your carry piece on you in your truck or whatever. Just stop by the range, get some ammo, and just blow a little steam off,
Yep. I mean, a whole nother kind of area of that, and I don't want to get off on too many tangents, but reloading. We reload a lot of our own ammunition, and for me, reloading is very therapeutic. So you're taking, a basic piece of brass and turning it into a cartridge, something that winds up being something that you can shoot out of your firearm, and you made it. And there's part of that process. It's the whole process of making the ammo, going out to the range, shooting, having fun. Oh, why is this not accurate? Why is this doing this? Diagnosing the problem, coming back, cleaning the gun, you know, tumbling the brass. It's all a process.
It is. I mean, it keeps us busy too. I mean, like, you know, Eric's been loading ammo for the Martinis as well as like the Snyder, and you know, it's very fulfilling when you can make a 130-year-old rifle talk again.
Yep.
I mean, because nobody's making ammo for that stuff, or very few people are, and it's prohibitively expensive.
You got that right.
When you can roll it yourself, you get a sense of fulfillment, and you know, just like you have accomplished something that very few people would actually take the time and resources to do.
I agree. We actually are going to be doing a video on this Snyder before long. We have a lot of interesting, you know, projects on the way with military surplus rifles and things of that nature, as well as pretty much everything you see on this table. There's always going to be something we have going on.
Oh, yeah.
But that's why with our channel, we try to embrace everything from modern firearms, vintage specimens, antiques. We try to show gunsmithing, reloading. That's why our channel is set up the way it is because we want to provide all this information and put it out there for people so they can kind of understand, you know, the big scheme of what makes gun owners tick. I would like to think that our channel is representative of someone who's kind of a full-fledged gun owner in the U.S. And that's...
I would say that our channel is more representative of the full-fledged gun enthusiast. I mean, because you're talking a collector. He likes military surplus or vintage firearms, such.
Yeah.
He likes modern guns. Someone who's into NFA, gets into suppressors, like shooting in their backyard.
Someone who hunts.
Someone who hunts, someone who reloads, someone who gets that sense of fulfillment on getting that 2-inch group down to 1 inch or less in their favorite firearm because they went through a hand loading process and did a ladder test and all that. I mean, that's kind of what it's all about. I mean, you got to look at the whole gamut. You know?
Right, and I think if you look at that entire picture, you'll see that a firearm is just a tool, and the people that own firearms, they just like to employ those tools in a way that fits their lifestyle. I mean, I hate to think of it that way to some degree, though, because, okay, so a thief buys a gun because he wants to go rob somebody. Well, yeah, but that's not the majority of gun owners, though. You can't punish every single gun owner because of a few bad apples in the batch. I mean, the majority of people that seek out this type of stuff, they just enjoy it as a hobby, as a way of life, you know, to hunt, to protect themselves, to pass down those traditions down to their family members, and just be peaceful members of society. That really is the basic premise of it all.
Now, also, you know, hold a big stick, but be quiet about it, you know.
That's right. Walk tall, carry a big stick, walk quiet. Well, guys, thank you for watching this video. I know it's a little bit on the long side, but hopefully these points are well driven home. If you've watched this video and you're a fan of the channel, and you've got a buddy who's on the fence about buying a gun, like maybe you just can't quite get it through to him, send him this video. That's what I want this video to be. Something that you can pass off to somebody. Maybe you've been convinced from this video that you need to consider owning a firearm. Pass this video on to the next person that might need that bit of encouragement from somebody, from a couple of guys who are really experienced in this realm. Pass this along, and then maybe when they go, you know what, they're right, I'm going to buy a gun, they'll pass it along. So I want this video to be something that gets passed along in the same way that we pass along our heritage down to our family members. I think it's important to pass my reasoning for being a gun owner down to the people out there in the internet world that will do with it what they will. And hopefully it'll be ultimately create more responsible firearms owners as a result. That's my goal.
That is the goal.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time. Many more videos on the way. More 5 guns, more 10 guns, more gun gripes, firearms facts, range reviews. We do it all. So if you're just now tuning in this channel, consider subscribing. We got a lot going on. We have fun with it. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.
Take care, guys.